like to introduce our head table, Dr. Lori Joyner, President of St. Norbert College, Michael Marsden, Interim Vice President of Academic Affairs, Michael Alexander, Chancellor at UW-Green Bay, and Kate Burns, Provost at UW-Green Bay. And we'll start with some opening comments from Dr. Joyner.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we gather today to share great news about the future. While much of the latest news surrounding higher education has focused on the challenges of declining enrollment, rising cost, and sustainability, our campuses are pursuing several opportunities to ensure that our institutions are positioned to thrive. Here at St. Norbert College, we are responding with an initiative titled Preserving the St. Norbert Legacy, a Shared Promise of Stewardship. This work represents a proactive approach to ensure the long-term success of the college by taking strategic steps to maintain educational quality while laying a solid foundation for innovation and for growth. Growth means more opportunities for current and future students to receive a transformative education that prepares them for success in an ever-changing world. The partnership we announced today with UW-Green Bay is a win-win for both institutions and, most importantly, for the students and the communities that we serve. This initiative is mission-focused, it's student-centered, it's community-centric, strategic, and innovative. The partnership is mission-focused in that it strengthens a common core value of both institutions of deep engagement with the local community. It's student-centered in that it expands the high-quality curricular and co-curricular offerings talented students at both of our institutions want and deserve by making it easier to take advantage of several opportunities not available at either one of our institutions working independently. The partnership is community-centric by amplifying the historic strengths of both of our institutions to address the evolving needs of our students and local communities. And by collaborating rather than competing, both institutions will be better positioned to deliver on the promise of academic quality, student success, operational excellence, and financial sustainability. So taken together, the partnership is strategic, innovative, and represents our collective institutional commitment to responsible stewardship of student and community resources. I have no doubt this historic partnership and its outcomes will set an example for other institutions around the state and across the nation. And now I'm pleased to introduce our partner in this unprecedented collaboration, Chancellor Michael Alexander of the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. I've gotten to know Chancellor Alexander a little bit over my 8 months here and have come to appreciate his visionary leadership and unwavering dedication to advancing educational opportunities, student success, and regional engagement and partnership. When I tally these qualities, and Chancellor, this is the highest compliment I can think of, you sound Norbertine. Given all this, I am enthusiastic and have absolute confidence that the partnership will stand as a turning point in the long and deep relationship between our two institutions. So please join me in welcoming Chancellor Alexander to make a few remarks.
So first of all, incredibly honored and excited for us to be here, and I will just start by saying that Green Bay hit the jackpot when St. Norbert hired President Joyner. This is it's really amazing to have a partner here in Green Bay that we can work together on these issues and solve them together and think through the lens of what our region needs and what our city needs. And I'll start just by saying that to us at Green Bay, we are trying to make sure we have a healthy ecosystem within our city for education. And that means supporting all the work that happens at the K-12 level, which hopefully leads directly into our institutions. And once students come to our institutions, as President Joyner said perfectly, It is about making sure that the experience is through the eyes of the student. That the student is why we are creating what we're creating, and that they have the flexibility to move where they need to move to reach their educational goals. And it shouldn't matter to us whether they start at Green Bay and finish at St. Norbert, or start at St. Norbert and finish at Green Bay, or start at NWTC and go to either one of our institutions. What matters is that the student can reach their educational goals. And as President Joyner alluded to, I really do believe this is the future of education. That education is not about building an empire. Education is about building collaboration that allows for a city to thrive. And that's really what this collaboration is about taking what each of these institutions do incredibly well, and where we've built in different ways over the years, and combining those things so that Green Bay wins. I mean, Green Bay, the city of Green Bay, right? And it's really, really key, right? As we talk through this and we think about this moving in the future. To me, today is the start of this partnership. It is the way for us to establish parameters under which we have certain degrees that'll articulate now back and forth, right? But it's just the beginning of us being able to really work together in this way moving forward. And we're incredibly honored to, at UW Green Bay, we understand that one of the things I wasn't planning on saying this, but I will say this since President Joyner opened the door for me. It's exciting to think as a Norbertine. I take that as a great compliment, and I think it's also amazing to have a private institution that is thinking for the public good. That is not always the case in my experience, and it's a massive compliment to St. Norbert College, in my opinion, for the way it serves our city, that it is regionally focused, that it is all about making Green Bay a stronger place, as we are, and it's why this partnership makes so much sense. So we're very excited to launch this, and I'll turn it back over to
Thank you. Dr. Marsden, any additional comments?
No, I'm also very glad to see this partnership. I think it really is a milestone in public-private partnerships. It doesn't happen, as several people have said already. It's rare in higher education, but it makes perfectly good sense when we are not competing but cooperating and making it better for the schools.
Kate?
I'm also very excited. I think it does a nice job of building on some of our existing collaborations that we've had within the languages, and so I'm really excited to be able to scale this up to other programs as well.
Questions from the media?
Yeah, so I guess maybe what types of programs might this be focused around right now? I understand this kind of just started right now, but maybe for students, what is this going to look like? What types of programs and classes that are going to be, where this would be most beneficial?
Go ahead.
Well, I can start, I guess.
Sure.
There are several graduate programs at UWGB that our students could matriculate into through a 3+2. So, for example, athletic training, nutrition, supply chain management. We are starting our own undergraduate program in supply chain management, and this will allow our students to continue on to a master's degree at that point. And I guess there are other options that were there. We certainly could have our students take courses in German, Russian, Arabic, and Oneida, which we don't offer any at this point, and therefore our students could take those courses at UWGB. In reverse, the students at UWGB could take courses here in engineering physics on the undergraduate level. They could also take courses in French, which are no longer being offered, I understand, on the UWGB campus, and also in economics, where we have a major. So these are some of the early arrangements that we have worked out, but there are many, many others that we should be considering at the same time.
Just to get clarification, this will all start next school year officially to implement it?
Yes.
And will that be for incoming freshmen or people who are already enrolled, or how will that, who will that be available to starting next fall?
Would be available to any student who is qualified to enter the program. I want to be clear, something that the provost said from UWGB. We have been doing a partnership here in languages for many years. So students from each institution could matriculate in the languages at the other institution. So this is building on that long-standing arrangement.
And for the graduate programming, so which degree will the student be earning there? Will it be from St. Norbert or UWGB? How does that work if they're getting some of their undergraduate at one institution and graduate courses at another?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So when we talk about a 3+2, it means that you're going to graduate with a bachelor's degree and a master's degree within 5 years. So that's an accelerated degree, which is why it's such an exciting opportunity. So the student would take the 3 years at St. Norbert and then to 2 years at UW Green Bay, but to be able to graduate with both in hand.
So in other words, for the baccalaureate, they would transfer back the credits so that they would graduate with a baccalaureate from St. Norbert and a master's from UWGB, etc.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Obviously, there's a difference in cost in terms of tuition for both schools. So I guess is this, would there still be a difference here of, say, you're a UWGB student, you want to take a class at St. Norbert, are you paying that typical St. Norbert rate for that class, and it's essentially the student making up the difference?
It's going to be the same cost across institutions. That's my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe just to chime in, so that's how we have it with the languages right now, right? So that students at UW Green Bay will come to St. Norbert and take French. They are paying the UW Green Bay rate by taking those courses. So that's why I think we are so excited to be able to have that as an opportunity.
Does this only apply to classes that students are needing for their major or their degree, or could they take an elective course at the other institution as well, even if it doesn't necessarily apply to the degree they're pursuing?
Right now, we have focused upon these specific classes and programs. I think as their provost alluded to, Mike, that there are many opportunities for us to consider, but right now we are looking at these classes and these programs.
Could a student attending classes at the other institution also have access to things like library, Wi-Fi, like the additional amenities provided at that campus?
Yes.
Yes, we are thinking about that as that inclusive student experience, right? To be able to experience the best of both universities.
And I think that's the real beauty of this partnership, right? What we're both trying to do is expand the opportunities for all students to have what is going to be most transformative and meaningful to them. And so from my perspective, we're going to try to make as much available to the students as the students that are only taking classes at our home institution. So that's the beauty of it, offering many more opportunities for students.
Will there be any transportation provided between the two campuses, or is that kind of up to the student to get themselves to the other
I don't
classes?
think we've discussed that at this point.
Well, we haven't gone that far down the road, but if depending on the number of students involved, the number of programs involved, we might eventually, develop that transportation piece of it. But right now, for example, as you know, I think we have a relationship with Bellin College in nursing, health sciences, for our pre-nursing program, and those students they move back and forth between the two campuses themselves at this point. But if it expands sufficiently, then it might make sense to have some transportation.
And can you elaborate a little bit more about how a partnership like this is going to help higher ed institutions navigate some of the headwinds Dr. Joyner already alluded to, financial enrollment, things like that?
So there's, I think, maybe two things I would talk about clues. First of all, I think that the way students, often choose an institution is they do it partly through place. Right? And so a student would likely want to come to Green Bay and then look for an institution. Right? And this expands the opportunity for students to look at Green Bay as an sort of an epicenter for education, right? That if you think about the places in the country that excel in education, it's because it's like a collection of businesses, right, that form in one place. And education is the same way. When you get institutions working together, it builds it at scale, right? And it becomes a destination for people to know, I want to go to Green Bay because they have an outstanding ecosystem of higher education in that city, right? That's the first thing. I think the second thing is that students at either of our institutions are making choices, right? So they're looking at it and they're saying, for instance, in our case, perhaps I want to take economics. Okay? I'd like to go to Green Bay, but I know that we don't have an option for an economics major. We know that one of the best economics majors in the region and beyond is at St. Norbert. So that student who might not choose St. Norbert for their degree, initially to say that they want to come, they might come to Green Bay knowing that we're doing 2 years at Green Bay so that we can get that degree at St. Norbert. What's really important about this is that it really honors what transfer is supposed to do, right? Which is that it's not about the ego of the institution. Right? So we have to start looking about transfer and retention a little differently. Right? So right now, if we look at retention numbers, right, you would say, well, that's a loss for Green Bay. Right? We lost one student into retention. And I would say, actually, that's a victory for both Green Bay and St. Norbert. And vice versa, right? So we have one of the newest engineering programs in the state, right? And a student who wants engineering, mechanical or electrical engineering, might come to St. Norbert and say, I really want the experience at St. Norbert, but I want to get an engineering degree. Right? And that's a win for that student. It's a win for both of our institutions.
I also think from an accessibility and affordability perspective, like we are thinking much more from a student and a family perspective, and our institutions are both deeply committed to make sure that this transformative experience that we offer is available to anyone who is interested in it, right? And so by not trying to duplicate, which is exceedingly expensive, we can't be all things to all people. But through collaboration rather than competing, we can be effective stewards of student, family, and community resources. And that's another piece of this that I really love. It's exceedingly mission and student-centric.
I would just add, I think the arrangement allows a student to choose the best of both institutions. And I think, to me, it's an enrichment of the student experience. So I see it from that point of view.
I have a question. So if I were an engineering major, and let's say one of my major classes fills up for that year, could I then go to the other institution and take a class there that's required in my field?
Quite possibly.
Okay.
I mean, it's hypothetical, but I think quite possibly.
Yeah, and I think for us, I think that there's that good connection. So St. Norbert, you all are having a new degree program in engineering physics, right? We no longer have we don't have a physics major, so that's a nice complement to be able to send students to say, how can you pursue your degree at St. Norbert? Whereas that engineering connection, right? We have, as Mike said, the mechanical and electrical engineering, and so we would love to welcome students in to start at St. Norbert and then to come to us for that engineering degree.
Yeah, considering, like you said, you no longer have certain programs like physics, and I know at St. Norbert there was recent staff cuts. Is this kind of something that has been in the works, where you kind of knew that you were making these decisions knowing you were still going to be able to help better serve those students that want those courses and want to stay in those emphases?
Well, for us, I think partnerships have always been part of our strategic priority at St. Norbert College, even before there was any program review process. Like, we just know, looking at the headwinds of higher education, that to be successful moving forward, public and private institutions are going to have to develop all sorts of innovative partnerships. So for us, it's been a strategic priority since day one of my arrival. And so this is just very timely.
Yeah, I could not agree more. This is for sure. I think sometimes the factors make things speed up, right? And so that would be the thing that I could say, is that it just is. This clearly makes sense, and it's now, I think, accelerating the timeline with which we're able to do it. And as President Joyner is saying, there's two choices right now in higher education, right? You can adapt, right? Or you can face the consequences of not adapting, right? And I think both of our institutions would rather adapt.
Yes.
You guys have referred to this partnership as unprecedented, one of a kind. What precedent, if any, did you have to look at for building a relationship like this between a public and private institution?
Well, for me, in my very first presidency, we did something similar with a community college and a professional nursing program that worked beautifully. It literally was a reputable nursing program that was a few blocks away from campus, and it was exceedingly successful because they had the expertise to do the professional degree program, but many of their students really wanted a residential experience, wanted to participate in D3 sports, and so it worked out to be a perfect marriage. So that's a little bit of past experience, but I'm not aware of anything like that at this scale happening here in Wisconsin at this point.
No, and I think in our case, we were looking very much as we're thinking about our role as a regional university, right? And making sure that we have partnerships in the region that benefit students. That's how we're looking at this, and we've seen other regions do this successfully. That was certainly what we're trying to build upon.
That it? All right, thank you. There is some availability for some individual interviews if you'd like. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
I know.